Johnny's here. He's in the house. Oh, happy Friday.
I hope that you didn't do that this morning, but you did.
Okay, happy Friday, everyone. Time to put your feet up on Friday and think about what property investing can do for you. Today, we're here in the local area of Drummoyne. Hi to Mum's, come on, she's in the local area as well. Mum's a great supporter, she comes on live all the time. But in terms of what's going on in property investing, I brought John on here today just to talk to you about the idea of having a property manager in your team. Okay, so the advantages, some of the advantages of having that great property manager helping you with that portfolio.
Yeah, probably the biggest thing is saving you the time and the trouble to deal with the tenants. I mean, that's what a property manager is. It's an intermediary.
Okay.
And definitely some property investors are not going to feel comfortable with dealing directly with their tenants. And the other thing is obviously they're very time poor to do all the tasks that are required of a property manager. Yeah, I mean, look, when things are running smoothly with your portfolio, it's great. You know, we're just people. Tenants are people, landlords are people, and you know, people are getting along when things are fine. The issue is when things go pear-shaped and there's a communication breakdown. There is no intermediary for you to go back and forth and do the negotiations and communicate well enough to resolve the problem. So there can be a breakdown, and a lot of the DIY landlords are stuck. Well, what do I do now? I can't even communicate properly with my tenant, so I can't resolve the problem quick enough. And we have to satisfy both sides of the equation, the landlord and the tenant. Sometimes that's not easy to do because obviously as a property manager we're engaged by the investor.
Yep.
And we have to look after their own rights. But at the same time, you know, the legislation book, our tenancy legislation, which is very, very tricky at times, requires us to have an understanding of what the rights are of both parties and bring those together to a happy conclusion.
I guess it's about having, you know, you're being paid by the landlord, but at the same time, you're trying to keep the tenant happy so that everyone can work together for a common goal. The tenant has a place to stay, and the landlord's getting an income from the property. And then, if all those gel together, then you've got one big happy family almost.
Absolutely. One of the biggest things for me and factors is obviously minimising vacancy, minimising the cash flow leak through not collecting rent. So having that tenant in place, make sure they're on a fixed term lease, make sure things are running smoothly, the repairs and maintenance are being attended to do everything to basically to prevent the tenant from stop paying the rent. So that's I find that a big piece of the puzzle of what I have to do each day is to keep the tenant happy, to keep them paying rent. I'm a president of a landlords association called the Property Owners Association of New South Wales. We're the actual go-to for DIY landlords.
Okay.
We're the first point of call when
so
they're
you
when
hear
they're in
all
trouble.
the stories, right?
I've heard them all.
Okay. Give us one.
And the classic, and the classic ones are, you know, my property's been trashed.
Okay.
And that's happened because of poor screening of the tenant in the first place. What I find is that the big pothole for landlords who are going down the route of DIYing, they'll fall for the sob stories the tenants give them. Some of them don't even collect bond.
Wow.
Because they're just
they're
just too trusting, and some of them
collect bond. People
collect bond. They don't have landlord insurance.
No insurance.
No landlord's insurance. So they have building insurance, but they actually forget about the landlord insurance, which covers the rent default
and like public liability as well.
Public liability.
Jeez.
Yep. And accidental
craziness.
damage. And so a lot of these stories come to us when basically it's fallen through the cracks. And a lot of the classic ones are, yep, my property's been trashed or destroyed. They've done the runner and they owe me money. And the compensational ones, the classic one is the mould issues or the property defects. A lot of agents don't go and actually do a social media check. Look, great question. There are some agents that actually allow tenants to apply for properties without actually seeing them and without actually meeting them. That for me is a deal breaker.
No
and
good.
I will never approve any tenant or let them apply for a rental property until, number one, they've actually physically seen the property, and number two, I've actually eyeballed them face to face.
Brilliant.
Because a lot of that is also gut feel.
Yeah.
Your gut feel. Obviously, the greatest challenge with your first property is to save your first deposit.
Yeah.
And I saw this guy eat bread rolls for lunch, like literally bread rolls every day, with nothing in the bread roll.
So 10 cent,
10
20.
cent bread roll next door to our real estate office, and he did that for 3 years to save his next deposit, move on to his next property.
I guess that's a
A
bit
lot
of
of
a
these people
lesson.
are frugal. A lot
Yeah.
of these people are frugal.
When you are starting, if you really want to make a difference in your life, you know, they're some of the tips. And people go, oh, I don't want to live on 2-minute noodles and things like that, or bread rolls, whatever might be the case for you. But if you really want it, that bad, and you really want to make a difference in your life that much, maybe for the short term, go through that short-term pain for that long-term massive gain.